Evening, everybody. Welcome back to Devils United for the 7th episode of the Player Profile. We're talking about Emily Ramsey's time at Everton, and we've got Peter with me today. How are you doing, Peter?
I'm good, yeah. Can't lie, I'm missing the football. I'll be honest. I can't wait for the World Cup to start so I can get some football back in my life. But yeah, I'm doing okay.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the World Cup as well. I can't wait. And then, of course, the Premier League coming back for me, which is great. And then WSL starts in September and Champions League for us. So I am really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I know you got that in early, didn't you, about the Champions League? I like that. I think that's it. I mean, to talk about the Champions League as well, just from an Evertonian's point of view, I think a couple of seasons ago we tried to sort of buy our way into that a little bit. We spent a lot of money the summer before last, and we had high hopes of being able to sort of try and break that sort of top 3, top 4. Didn't work out that way, and we had to sort of have a bit of a reset last season. But with Brian Sorensen now coming in, we can see the improvements, and we can certainly have hope again that we could in future potentially break back into that top sort of 3 or 4. But I think Manchester United have certainly given the likes of ourselves a lot of hope as well. The fact that United have come up from the Championship and done incredibly well, taken to the WSL like a duck to water, with some fantastic players and a great style of play as well. So I think last season was, obviously, it went right down to the wire, didn't it? In terms of Manchester United going for the league title, and you're unfortunate in the end to just fall short. But I'm sure all of your fans will be looking forward to the Champions League nights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the thing is with the league itself. I always said it's a bit too much for us to go with, because at the start of the season, all us fans always said we want top 3 Champions League. That's all we want. We need that bit. It's got to the point where I think we need that extra step now. We need to break into there. And as much as a lot of people would have been disappointed over not winning the league, and it's great that we managed to keep it right till the very end. Yourself being us at LSV, that 0-0 draw, I think, contributed to that, and the 2 defeats for Chelsea against Chelsea as well.
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring that up because I know it's a Man United channel, but we've got to talk about that 0-0, haven't we? I mean, yeah, it was. I think that was probably a result which Man United certainly, pretty much every time you played us in the WSL, you've ended up beating us. So I think that would have been a fixture that you'd be massively disappointed with. I thought on the day we defended superbly well. I think we wanted to go out there and prove something to ourselves as well. We'd had a few really bad results against some of the top sides, even after that game as well, where we hadn't really shown up. And I think that we wanted to go there and kind of keep things tight and try and cause a bit of an upset. And as it happens, we managed to get come away with a draw. I mean, for us, obviously going forward, that's the type of result that we can take a lot of solace from, a lot of confidence from, in terms of being able to go away to one of the bigger sides, and certainly with the crowd at Manchester United as well. You've got fantastic atmosphere, great singing section. I'm mates with Nat, who he does a lot of the singing as well. She's great. Always have a good load of banter with her when we go to the games and things. So it's always an intimidating place to go. So it was great for us to come away with that draw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me, even though we lost 3-1 against Chelsea, we've lost 1-0. I actually think that was probably our worst game of the season. If you just sort of going to talk about the league only, just because I think we was expecting we need to come out with a win here. Because I think at the end of the day, I know with Man United, we're kind of at that mindset where I think there's some kind of barrier where they get a bit worried about Chelsea. So I was always 50-50 with them, but I always said, right, we've beat City, we know we can do it. We beat Arsenal, we know we can do it. And then when we come to Everton, I think everyone's all expecting 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, but then because it was a 0-0, and it's very rare as well, you see 0-0s in the WSL as well. You always see goals.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, you tend to see a lot of late goals, especially with Manchester United. We saw the scenes away at Arsenal, that incredible victory. I was watching that game, and I was actually sending the replays to a few of my friends who were in your end, that I'd recorded off the TV for them so they could see them straight away. And The Aston Villa game as well. That was another one that you won late, wasn't it? So I think with Manchester United, whether it's in the women's game or the men's game, I don't think you can ever relax. Manchester United have always had a reputation of going right till the final whistle. So I think for us to come away with that was really, like you say about you might have a bit of a mental block when it comes to Chelsea. I feel like that was a little bit of a mental block for us in terms of being able to go away and get a decent result. Our last game of the season against Man City, we actually went 3-0 down, and I thought we're all in the way, and we carried on singing. We were having a bit of a party. It was last game of the season, but at 3-0, you thought the writing's on the wall here. We might just get turned over, but we actually showed a lot of fight and a lot of spirit to come back into that game. We got it back to 3-2, and I feel like if it went on for another 5 minutes, we might have at least snatched a draw. We might have gone on to win, but again, it's those sort of performances that, as an Evertonian, we can take solace from. And again, the flip side for Manchester United as well is that I think, as Manchester United fans, going into next season, you'll be concentrating more on the likes of the Villa game, the Arsenal game, those results that you've got from fighting right till the last kick of the game. Those are the results and those are the performances that you really want to cling on to, and they're the ones that will give you belief, certainly going into next season. And like you said, I think it's probably fair to say that Manchester United are well ahead of schedule in terms of where they probably thought they'd be at this stage. Given having only just come up relatively, in the last few years. I think that it's fair to say Manchester United are probably ahead of schedule at the moment. It's probably a lot to do with now you need investment as well to really take that next step and really start challenging. Although you already did challenge, didn't you, without it?
Absolutely. I'll just say hello to people in the chat and then we'll carry on. Good evening, Reese. Thank you for coming in. Hope you are well. Reese has put the link in the chat for the Blue Room because I know you mentioned you do the show on there as well. Hey there, Luca. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Hey there, Liam. Hope you're well. Thanks for coming in. Hey there, Rather. Thank you for coming in. Hope you are well. He calls me Manny Mace because I'm a fan of Mason Mount because I started calling Mason Mount Manny Mace to wind up the Chelsea fans.
Got in there quick, didn't you? It didn't take you long.
Hey there, Shay. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Hey there, 55 Tiger Lily 1. Hope you are well. Thanks for coming in. Hey there, Vincent. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Hey there, MUFC Brummies. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Hey, Football Power Hour. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. And hey there, Daz, thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. And hey there to Niall, thank you for coming into the chat. Hope you are well. Firefight Tiger Lily says hi to you as well, Pete.
Oh, that's Tina. Yeah. That'll be Tina from our supporters club. Always supporting.
Thank you for coming in, Tina. So we'll talk about Emily Ramsey because I think for me, she had a terrific loan spell. And one game that I will say is a noticeable game, even though you did lose the game, it was the Man City game, because she made some remarkable saves and kept you in it for quite a long time.
Yeah, I think Emily Ramsey, for me, from the first game she played for us, you could see the quality that she possesses. I mean, it's unfortunate for Manchester United actually that she hasn't ended up signing that new contract, because it might end up being fortunate for us if we manage to keep hold of her. But I think Ramsey proved their quality almost immediately. We had a Conti Cup game earlier on in the season against Aston Villa, and I think that was her first start, if I'm correct. And she ended up saving 2 penalties in the penalty shootout. And that game, she was just absolutely incredible. And what a way to start your career for Everton. I think she's got everything in the bag. She's big. She dominates her area. She's got great distribution. We tend to play the ball out from the back as well. Brian Sorensen likes to play the ball out short from the back, and Ramsey's just as comfortable with the feet as she is with her hands. I mean, to me, I can see her going right to the top. I said this about Chloe Kelly a few years ago. I was on with Nat in about 2018, I think it was, or 2019, and I said about Chloe Kelly before she went to Man City, and I said she'll go right to the top. She'll be a regular for England, and I feel the same with Emily Ramsey. I just think she's got that quality. It's unfortunate for her or for Manchester United. Obviously, I say unfortunate. It's fortunate you've got Mary here. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of those things where, realistically, I think Ramsey needs to be playing first team football right now for her development. I think she needs regular football. Brian Sorensen has this thing as well. A lot of teams, you're probably saying like 99.9% of football teams have a designated number one goalkeeper. Brian Sorensen doesn't seem to have that. He seems to like to rotate the goalkeeper as much as he likes to rotate his centre halves or his forwards. So it means that the goalkeepers are constantly getting game time, and you're not just having one just sat on the bench for prolonged periods. Emily picked up a bit of a knock at a really unfortunate time as well, where she got injured towards the end of the season. She missed a good few weeks of the season. So I think she ended up making 8 WSL appearances with 3 clean sheets, I believe. Our stat man Mike McGuinness, by the way, he comes out with great stats. So I think she would have made more appearances if it wasn't for that injury. But obviously we've also got Courtney Brosnan, who's a fantastic goalkeeper about to go to the World Cup with Ireland, who she will be learning off. So yeah, it's a shame for Manchester United, put it that way. I think I can understand the frustration from Man United fans, and I've seen a lot of it. I think the only thing that I would say is that at the moment, if Mary Earps is staying, which it looks like she is, she's obviously signed an extension to her contract, I think Ramsey needs to be playing first team football now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was really liked at Man United as well, Rambo, especially knowing that she was there from the beginning. But I just think that the only problem was she wasn't given that proper chance there at Man United. She's had numerous of loan spells as well. I think she did hit off very well at Everton, because especially coming from the season before with Everton, where I think I would personally say he's underachieved. Mate, you probably agree with that. I think to have Emily Ramsey coming in with a brand new manager and a team who's hungry, wanting more, I think she come into that right setup, because I never really felt like she got the best in that Birmingham side, especially knowing what the situation was with Birmingham and in all different kinds of aspects. But I think she was in the right setup, and getting into that England squad was a big thing, especially for her age too, because she is only very young. She's only 22 years old, and she is one for the future for England. I did say though, is if we was to keep her, we would need to extend her contract by 2 years easily, and if we was to extend it, she'd need another loan spell, because she's not going to get in ahead of Mary Earps. As much as I do like Rambo, I just right now, the way Mary Earps is, she is undroppable. That's just the only problem. Mary Earps is an absolute fantastic goalkeeper, and I think it's very hard to try and show that, oh, look, like, I'm better than Mary Earps right now, like, play me over Mary Earps. And I think it's going to be hard no matter what goalkeeper you bring in to try and be that competitor for Mary, because she's number one for club, number one for country as well. But I think when you do look at it, probably in the long run, it probably will be better for Rambo to move on, but I can understand why a lot of people aren't happy.
Yeah. I think you see a lot of times, though, don't you, where clubs let younger players go, and you can see the potential in them, and you can see where they could potentially be, and they end up, sometimes players drop off, other times players do reach that potential. But the only way they're ever going to get there is by playing regular football, and I think that's what Ramsey needs. I think, one player who I'm kind of disappointed for at the moment, to be perfectly honest, there's Sandy McKeever. Sandy McKeever was getting regular first team football at Everton, playing every week, and then she's gone to Manchester City, which I thought was a strange move at the time anyway. And she spent the last year, sat on the bench for the majority of it, and it's a real shame for her, because I feel that at the time she was progressing, and I didn't see the reason or the need for her to leave at that stage. And I don't know the ins and outs of it. I don't know whether it was a case of Everton wanted to raise funds. It might have been something like that, and it was just an option for her to go there. But certainly, when you look at Sandy McKeever and looking at like this, her career stuttered slightly. I think it's fair to say. And I think with that position as well, there isn't really the rotation. Brian Sorensen is kind of unique in that sense, where I've never really seen a manager rotate the goalkeeper as much as what he does. But his reasons for it are to keep the competition, so you don't have anyone rested on the laurels. You want people on the toes and wanting to prove themselves in training every single day. But as you've said, Mary Earps is such a fantastic goalkeeper. It does. I think, for example, if Mary Earps was out for a game and someone comes in and does incredibly well, they could get player of the match. Mary Earps still starts next time she's fit because she's that good, So it's, it's trying to get the balance, isn't it, of keeping hold of potential, but also keeping them happy. Another player as well, another player, same position, Hannah Hampton, just gone from Aston Villa to Chelsea. I think that's a massive shame. I really do. I think that Hannah Hampton's got such massive potential. She's got a lot of experience as well in the WSL, even at a young age. And now she's going to go to Chelsea, and you can't see her starting games. With all due respect to her, I just can't see her starting games, and certainly not regularly. So I feel like she's going to be looking for a loan. And if Hannah Hampton goes out on loan, yeah, well that's it. Well, yeah, but if she goes out on loan, I can't see any team who's going to be starting her every week who are going to be better than Aston Villa for a development. So I feel like that's a bit of a strange move. But yeah, going back to Ramsey. It could be the making of her. I feel like it will be the making of her. And 4 or 5 years down the line, I'm sure that this decision for her will prove to be the right one, just because of her developments and the fact that she will be able to get first team football.
Mm-hmm. Do you reckon? Well, from what you've seen, is she linked to Everton for a permanent signing?
Well, I know that she was very happy at Everton. Last season we certainly welcomed her with open arms, and the supporters really took to her. Obviously I don't know the ins and outs of what goes on with the transfers and things, but I certainly, would think that the club would want to keep her. There was rumours around January that there was supposed to have been some kind of bid from us in January. Well, I don't know how true that was. That was just a little rumour on Twitter that I saw, but certainly I think that the club will be more than happy to keep her. As I say, in terms of the style that we play in terms of how Brian Sorensen wants us to go, he's obviously has a thing for developing younger players as well. I think that he will be looking at a long-term project. When you look at the average age in the Everton side, I think we had the lowest average age in the WSL last season in terms of the players who were starting every week. So I think she ticks all the boxes for us, and I wouldn't be surprised if we were to throw a bid in for her anyway. And I think to be honest, she'd be happy to come as well, because I think she really enjoyed her time here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think when you do look at it from a player point of view, loved by the fans, the manager wants you, you're getting into that England squad. Because I always say, like, when you see a player, I've seen her very, very happy at the club from what I have seen, and you'll see a lot more from Rambo than compared to what I've seen of her this season. And she does look very happy. She looks very settled, and I think another thing that plays into the factor is that it's still up north for her, so it's not that she's gonna feel that homesick compared to if she was to move down south.
Yeah, that's a great point as well. Another great point, yeah, in terms of having to move, because I mean, a lot of our, it's so close, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's so close from here to Manchester. I know we have a bit of a rivalry of Scousers and you Mancunians, but you know what I mean. It is so close, and like you say, it's another thing to consider if Ramsey's settled where she is, and maybe she's not ready to move too far away, then Everton's a great option for her. And as I say, we're a club who are looking hopefully to progress again this season. We've already made a really fantastic move in the transfer market by bringing in Martina Piemonte, who I honestly am absolutely buzzing. I'm so happy with that signing. And again, I think that kind of shows the sign of intent from Everton Football Club that we really want to push on. So hopefully Emily Ramsey can be a part of that.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully. So for you, do you think she's better at distribution, or do you think she's better at a shot stopping, or both?
Oh, both. If I can give you an example of a game, you mentioned the Man City game. She was incredible in that game. We also played Arsenal away. We all went down to Arsenal away. We actually got beat 1-0. It could have been double figures. And I'm pretty sure, I'm going back to Statman Mike McGuinness here, by the way, our Statman. Now, he's told me, reliably informed me, that in that game, she pulled off the most saves of any Everton player in, I think it's the last 5 years or something. She was absolutely incredible. If you can watch the highlights of us against Arsenal away, she was unbelievable that day. All kinds of different types of saves as well. All kinds of, one-on-ones, left hand, right hand, tip it onto the bar, everything. Her reactions are second to none. But again, a distribution. One of the things about the distribution as well is that I don't think we necessarily see the best of her distribution because of how we play, because we tend to play very short from the back. one of the things that Brian Sorensen has said to us, as you know, at the supporters club, we actually had a meet and greet with him at Finch Farm, our training ground, just before the end of the season. And Brian was talking about like sort of his style and his philosophy in terms of football. And he was talking about one of the games where we got absolutely battered. It was the Chelsea 7-0. And what he was saying was we could have reverted to type and sort of sat behind the ball and tried to sort of keep the score down and all that sort of thing. But what he said was he'd rather we carried on playing it out from the back, because he'll learn more from the players and the players will learn more trying to play his system, because he can pick up on the mistakes. We're probably in a position where we were able to do that because we weren't going to go higher or lower. But we were able to sort of, you know, carry on playing that way. And he said, and eventually we'll be able to play that style and the players will get used to the system to the stage where we can play that style and pull it off against the bigger sides. But going back to Emily Ramsey, in terms of her distribution, I don't think we've seen the best of it because we tend to play it so short out from the back. Having said that, she's very comfortable with the ball at her feet.
I actually, while she was talking about Arsenal, I actually did bring up the stats of the game. So Arsenal had a total of 33 shots and 14 on target.
Yeah.
That's absolutely unbelievable that they've only just come out with 1-0 based on that.
Oh, it was, honestly, it was the most one-sided 1-0 I've ever seen in my life. We nearly snatched. I'm sure we nearly snatched a draw as well at one point. I think we had one chance, and it was right towards the end. And Nico Sorensen had just made a comeback as well. It was her first appearance since she came back from her ACL. So it was unbelievable performance. If you can find the highlight reel from that game, yeah. I'm sure her agent's probably got a highlight reel of that one to bounce around to half the clubs in Europe.
I actually do have it, so I'm going to drop it into the live chat for people to watch it later on as well. Yeah, so I'll pop that in as 2. For you as well, do you think Rambo was quite a commanding vocal goalkeeper?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she obviously, I think she has a lot of respect as well from the players. I think both goalkeepers, to be honest with you, Courtney Brosnan's the same. Both very vocal, command their areas very well. Obviously, your goalkeepers, it's such an important position as well for any team, just because of the fact that you've got the vision of the whole pitch and the way everyone's set up. So it's important to have a goalkeeper who's got confidence and is able to give out instructions and to give like the little shouts as to where people are and to sort of change positions and things like that. But yeah, Ramsey, again, going back to what I've said before, she ticks every box. I'm astonished that United haven't done everything to try and keep her, but I can understand her reasons why.
Well, knowing how Man United have been with us losing our best 2 players already and losing Rambo, I wouldn't be surprised that they didn't really try much, I must be honest. Did you have seen that we've lost Russo, we've lost Donna both for the 3 recently, and you've probably seen as well the outburst what caused on social media. I
think it's justified as well. It's got to be justified. As Evertonians, we've had our own problems with the owners, which have been widely publicised. Certainly in terms of the men's side, but it's the same. It's the same board of directors at the end of the day. It's the same owner. It's the same people who aren't in our view doing their job correctly. And I think that goes for Manchester United as well. I think the fans are fully justified in wanting better and wanting more. I personally, as a fan of both the men's and women's games, I look at Everton Football Club as a whole, and I look at the way when the Premier League was formed and all the money started flowing into the game. You look at the difference between Manchester United and Everton. Manchester United fully developed Old Trafford over those years and expanded it to 70,000. Everton, Goodison Park went stale. Manchester United went on and won, I think, 13 Premier League trophies. Everton won none. Now this is Everton who 4 or 5 years earlier had won the league. In 86, 87 as the men's team. I'm looking at the women's side now, and the WSL is at that stage now for me. The WSL is at the stage where the Premier League era stage, where it's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and the attention is there now. The sponsorships are coming in. Thankfully, people are actually giving the women's game the credit that it deserves. And what I fear the most as an Evertonian is that we're going to miss the boat again. And I think with Manchester United and Evertonians, I think we both have the same sort of viewpoint in terms of the ownership, that we need more investment. The owners need to put their hands in the pockets, and they need to invest now, because if they don't invest now, will miss the boat, and they have to do it now. When you look at other teams, even the likes of Chelsea seems to be signing everyone. They're collecting all these players. They're buying up some of the best talent throughout the leagues. Obviously, they're not going to be playing them all, but what they are doing is stopping other teams from getting them. So for any team to compete with the likes of them, Manchester City as well, they've got a lot money to spend. Arsenal have got money to spend. For teams to compete with them, the owners need to put their hands in the pockets and fully back the players and the manager and give the supporters something to look forward to. So I just think, if there's one similarity between our two clubs, we can probably agree that our owners need to do better.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, and I agree that the WSL is definitely growing. It's going on Sky, going on. Barclays have bought into it as well. You're seeing that Champions League is getting shown on YouTube, and I think that's gonna start. You have to start to pay for that soon as well. So you can see that it is definitely growing, and more teams, such as Newcastle, for instance, are going full time, which is absolutely fantastic to see, especially now at the moment they're in tier 3. So you can definitely see that it is growing, and I completely agree with Chelsea. They're buying the best players, but they're not unhappy to put that money in. You see Manchester City as well. They've recently bought Jill Roord, and they've bought her for quite a high fee. So even though I think for City, even though they've got fantastic owners, I think their women's team still at a standstill as well. I don't know what's going on, if they're not putting that right investment in, or they just lost too many players. Not too sure why it is there, but they're happy to put that investment in as well. And I think the thing is if you want to break into that top 3, you want to compete into that Champions League, is you need to buy these best players, because I'm seeing links here from the NWSL player Carolyn. I'm seeing the Barcelona striker we're linked to, and I've seen recently as well we're linked to Lyon's left back. And I think we need to if we want to buy these players, we need to put the money in. Like, we can't just be linked to them and not get them.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's it. When you look at these owners as well, you're talking about billionaire owners. You look at the amount of money that gets wasted in the men's game. You look at some of the signings, some of the signings that our men's team have made over the past few years, and the amount of money they've spent on them. I mean, for one player, you could probably buy enough players to win the Champions League. Do you know what I mean? It's like the correlation between the two is incredible. And I look at it and think, in terms of the level of investment comparative to what they invest in the men's game, it wouldn't take much to really push on. And that's from an Evertonian's point of view. But for Manchester United especially, I mean, having lost Russo, apart from anything else, the fans need something. You supporters need that sort of that icon up front, if you know what I mean. Obviously, Russo was such a big character as much as anything else, and such a huge pull for Manchester United. I know some United fans probably won't be happy with me for saying about the Lionesses. I've seen a few comments online about this Lionesses FC thing, but Russo's such a big character and such a huge loss for the football club. So she needs to be replaced, not just with your average run-of-the-mill striker. You need to get a top name in, and especially with the Champions League. Obviously, you've got to get through the qualifier, haven't you? I'm pretty sure you still got a qualifier to get through. But
we're in the round 2 at the moment.
That's right, yeah.
So, and I think at the moment, who's in there right now is like PSG, Real Madrid, and they're going to be like very, very difficult to play against still.
And that's it. And you need to get the players in early as well, because you want to get them bedded in. You want to get them used to the system. You want to get them.
World Cup.
That's it, yeah. And then you've got the World Cup break, and then I can't see much business getting done during the World Cup. So I thought I would have expected Manchester United would have known in January that Russo was going, or at least had someone lined up if she did. And looking at the way, whether they offered her the money too late, or I don't really know. I don't know the ins and outs of what happened, but I think it's astonishing that Manchester United turned down a £500,000 reported bid for Russo in January just to let her go for free at the end of the season. Obviously, I'm assuming that they must have believed that she would sign if they gave her what she wanted. Well, give her the money early. Get her signed. Don't try and save the next 6 months worth of contract on a low wage. Get her signed up if you want her to stay. And if you don't want her to stay, have someone lined up to come in the day after she leaves. So that, one, it mitigates the frustration of supporters, but also gives the new signing an opportunity to bed in before the World Cup.
I completely agree, and I think for me, most likely, they was probably waiting for that Champions League money, because once we won the Champions League spot, that's when you seen Honor and Russo was offered contracts, but then it was too late. I did actually highlight this comment here from Ravi because he's a Liverpool fan, and I thought I'll highlight it because both me and you, Peter, have got something in common. We both battered Liverpool.
Yes. Always a good day, isn't it? Always a good day.
Have you heard our chant, like Man United's chant for Liverpool when we battered them?
Right. Have you got a similar one to us? Because we've got this thing about who put the ball in the Cop Heights net, but I think yeah. And nearly half the team, did we say? But you've got a similar one as well, haven't you? It's like a similar sort of one. Well, yeah. Well, we did ours first, so listen, we'll join it. We'll both join in with each other's when we play at Wattle Park, eh?
Yeah, we say who put the ball in the Scousers, then we put half of Man United.
Half of Man United, yeah. Yeah, we say nearly half the team did. Because we used to sing that for Lucy Hope, or Lucy Graham as she was before she got married. And because she scored the winner in the Cop End a few years ago, and then since then there's a few scored. So we worked out that like more than half the team scored against them. So it can't just be for Lucy now. Do you know what I
mean? Yeah. And there was another. We have one for Arsenal as well. When we go, who put the ball in the Arsenal's net, and then we go, Russo, Toon, and Turner.
That was a great game. That was a brilliant game. That unbelievable atmosphere. Unbelievable.
Cracking game, wasn't it? For me, it was probably one of the best games of the season. If you're going to look at it based on the actual game in itself, that's got to be up there. In terms of Man United, of course, that's probably
just any game, any game. It was incredible, absolutely incredible. What a I say, I was watching it in my dad's. I had it on Sky. And I was texting a few of my mates who sit on your end. Obviously, they were there and, going nuts and all that sort of thing. So I was recording the goals on the telly, to send, because, you're not sure. Sometimes they don't show the away team's goals on the replays, do they? So I thought, well, I'll send them to you so you can have a little look at them. But yeah, that's what football's all about, isn't it? Big away crowd, coming from behind, last minute winner, had everything. Absolutely, it's just what football's all about. Incredible.
Exactly. There's quite a few questions in the chat for you, Peter, so we'll go through some of them as well. I just wanted to say hey there to Anshu. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. So Ravi said, as I am a Liverpool fan, thoughts on beating Liverpool at Anfield and drawing at Goodison?
Yeah, I mean, the Anfield win was probably one of the highlights of the season. I think for us, it was early on in Brian Sorensen's reign. I think it was only the second game of the season. So it was massively important for us to go there and put on a good performance for the supporters. We had a sold out away end. It was a big crowd. It was a fantastic occasion. I think putting rivalry to one side as well for the second if I can, as much as I'll try my best. For me, it was great to see Liverpool back in the WSL as well, just for the city, because we do miss that rivalry as much as we want to, as much as we like to take the mick and we like to sort of have banter between the sets of fans and things like that, just the way it is. The WSL without Liverpool and Everton derbies, for me, it just doesn't feel right. Same with Man United and Man City, or Man United and Liverpool. They're the fixtures you look forward to at the start of the season. When you see the fixture list start, you want to see the derbies, you want to see those big games. So for me, it was great to see them back up. I was disappointed that we obviously got the draw at Goodison. I felt that, I felt that if we would have, played them at a different stage, I think it would have been a different story. But I think Liverpool, going to Goodison, they had something to prove, given the result at Anfield. So taking nothing away from their performance, I think that the draw on the night was probably the right result. In fact, I think looking back at it, we were probably lucky in the end, because Liverpool had a few chances right at the end of that game, so they could have got their revenge on us. But yeah, it's good to see Liverpool back in the WSL. All joking aside. And it's also handy for a spare 3 points if we need them.
the 3 points is definitely one. And if you want to build up your goal difference as well, that's another thing.
6 points.
But I used to think to myself as well, like, I know, like, cities obviously are noisy neighbours, and then I was there thinking the next local rival afterwards is Everton, and I used to always think, as much as I loved Everton being relegated, I miss them in a kind of way as well, just because you want. But I think as much like us, like United fans and Everton fans both know what the rivalries are like, but especially when you have such a strong rivalry sometimes in the men's game, it's not always the same in the women's game, and likewise in the men's, like, because another big rival we have is Durham from the championship days, and like if you was just a men's fan and you was told, oh, in the women's side our rivals Durham, you'd be like, Durham? What, like, why do you rival Durham?
Yeah, that is a random one. I've not heard that before. I have to keep an eye out for some of that. Yeah, really, yeah. Oh wow!
It comes from the first season when we was in the championship, because they was the only team that we didn't beat, because we was pretty strong in the championship, and they wrote like the supporters club was calling us aggressive and horrible fans and stuff like that. And that's where the rivalry comes from.
Isn't it funny though? This is one thing that I still can't get my head around. We've had it like a few times. Certainly, like the last 2 seasons, we've really tried to grow our support. We when we were playing in Southport, it was really difficult for us in terms of trying to create an atmosphere, because the ground was quite big anyway. But because it was so far away from Liverpool, it was out of, like, Everton territory, if you like. Southport, it's out in the sticks. So when we moved to Walton Hall Park, we had one game at Walton Hall Park against Man United, ironically enough, and then lockdown hit. So it took us a while to bed into Walton Hall Park and to kind of get the atmosphere going. But we made like a concerted effort there. Julie Macon, who runs our supporters club, we had like a bit of a committee meeting, and we decided that we were going to get together and try and get the a singing section going and try and build up this atmosphere. And we started getting the atmosphere. It's brilliant. I love it, to be honest with you. I miss it so much when it's the off season. But the atmosphere has really started to kick on now, and obviously the away games as well. We started getting this like away day culture where we're getting a good group of us going to away games. But the reaction from some people just astonishes me. Where you go to grounds and people who they're not sat there. So they're literally sat there for one, but they're not supporting their team. But they'll turn around and give you stick for like singing songs to back your team.
And you'll just like do a little applause or something like that.
Or they'll literally start trying to take the mick and things like that. And it's like, just back your team. We're not at the. I was going to say we're not at the cricket, but to be fair, there's better atmospheres in some of these Ashes games than half these grounds. But I've never really understood the hate that this hate that Man United fans get, because I'll be honest, I enjoy the atmosphere. Do you know what I mean? I like the banter, as long as it doesn't cross the line, which I don't really think he's do, to be honest with you. Not with me, certainly. I've always had like a good little bit of banter with you, and I always go over and say hello. For me, it's football, isn't it? As long as no one crosses the line, they don't get too personal. There's certain things that you kind of you avoid, obviously. But I don't see the problem in giving the opposition a bit of stick, or backing your team. I don't see the problem with it myself. I say, just don't cross the line.
Exactly, it's all banter at the end of the day, and that's what our main thing is of football. There was a question here from Ravi as well. What's Ramsey's strengths and weaknesses?
Weaknesses is the hardest question, to be honest with you, because I don't really think. There isn't anything that really stands out where you'd say she's bad at, commanding her area, or she's bad, she's got a weaker foot or anything like that. She tends to tick all of the boxes, which is a strange one. I'm trying to think of like any sort of individual errors that she's made from the season. I'll be honest, I can't really think of a particular weakness that she has. One thing in particular I think she's fantastic at is one-on-ones. She fills the goal so well. She's great off her line. She's quick off her line. Maybe in terms of improvements, I don't know. One thing I haven't seen enough from her is her kicking, but just purely because of how we're playing. So maybe that's one area that I can't really comment on as much, because I haven't seen it as much. But in terms of all-round ability, it's hard to pick out a weakness, to be honest.
That's understandable. Ravi has also asked, where do you think the Toffees can finish in the WSL next season?
Well, I think it's going to be tough. Certainly, with this manager, I think we've got to aim as high as possible. I think that clearly Arsenal are going to want to be challenging. Manchester United are going to want to be challenging Chelsea. Our long term aim has got to be to try and break in, firstly into the top four and then eventually, hopefully, into the top three. But it takes investment. I think we've got to be realistic as to where we are at the moment as a football club. I think first and foremost we need to consolidate. We need to bring players in, because we've lost a number of players, Jess Park in particular. Aggie Beaver-Jones, we'll have to see what happens with her, but Jess Park will be a massive miss for us. Bringing Martina Piemonte in gives us a big boost in terms of just having someone in that final third. Katja Snoyce was fantastic for us in the second half of last season after she got herself used to the WSL and the players around her got used to her. But having Piemonte up front as well will give us that extra focal point and hopefully give us those goals. And there were certain games last season where we were dominating possession, but we were getting to the final third and maybe not quite finishing teams off. So hopefully Piemonte can change that. But for us, I think first of all, we want to catch Aston Villa. They decided to sign half of our squad, which was, which obviously we wish them luck, because we all the players who've gone there, we like them all. So the likes of Simone McGill, Dan Turner, to name a couple. Shani Boyclough has just left there actually, but Shani was another one. Alicia Lehman, Kenza Darley. I'm probably missing a few, but there was that many players who went there. But I think, first things first, let's catch Aston Villa and move on from there, and hopefully get a good cup run as well, because I've missed my trips to Wembley.
I do think though the top six is pretty much cemented for me in the WSL. If you're going to look at each team individually and the players they've got, I think the top six is pretty cemented with us two, Chelsea, Arsenal, City, Aston Villa. I think that's really cemented, and I think there is that bit of a gap though, isn't there, from the top six to the bottom half of that table?
Yeah, absolutely. Tottenham obviously tried to kind of bridge that gap a little bit, didn't they? They've got, England came in January and she's been absolutely incredible. I'm sure I can see Spurs improving massively next season. But again, it all depends on the investment and the signings, doesn't it? It depends on how teams play. I think Leicester are strengthening really well. They've brought in some quality players. And again, they finished the season strongly. Leicester, they again seem to settle in very well towards the second half of the season. Yeah, it's a funny league, isn't it? Because it only takes one or two wins on the bounce, and you start flying up that table. If you're around that sort of middle section, do you know what I mean? I'm sure Liverpool as well will want to try and invest to try and improve their chances. But yeah, I feel like the top six is kind of cemented. But having said that, we can't rest on our laurels. We've got to try and improve year on year. But I'm massively confident that we've got the right manager in place to do that, and certainly with some of the players that he's brought in, we've got such a young, as I mentioned earlier on, such a young side, and those players are only going to get better and better. So it's a really good position for us to be in.
Ravi said he's going to keep the receipts about Liverpool, but I'll say thank you. For
Sorry, Ravi.
Thank you though for knocking City out the league. So that's something I'll be grateful for. So apart from that, it's just banter.
That's right, Ravi.
Hey there, Foxer, and well, thank you. Hope you are well too. And hey there to Andrew. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. We'll finish off with did you say she's called Tina? Didn't she?
Is it Tina? Yeah, Tiger Lily. Yeah, that's our Tina.
She said, "Who's magic?"
What's that? What was that?
She said, "Who's magic, Pete?"
She's talking about Aggie Beaver-Jones. Beaver-Jones, Jones, Aggie Beaver-Jones, Beaver-Jones, Beaver-Jones is magic. bit of Aqua Dr. Jones in honour of Barbie coming out this week.
I always sing on my channel when I'm doing watch alongs. I'm here like that singing Hayley Ladd, I'm singing Lucia Garcia, singing
you've got to.
Letitia's magic. She wears a magic hat.
Do you know what? So talking about chants, it's dead funny. You know, we started off that, you know, the Holland song. You know,
Yeah.
we start right. So we've been determined to get that chant going for absolutely years. We had Vanessa Cagman and Kika Van Ness a few years ago, and they both left at the same time before we had the chance to sing that song. So we started it up last season, like towards the end of last season, with Catch Your Noises Magic, and she plays for Everton. And we just did it on repeat for like 25 minutes to the point where it was just like doing everyone's head in, but it was just funny. But the first time we did it was against Arsenal. You know, you're saying before about like the bits of banter with Arsenal fans. They were all fuming on Twitter because obviously they've got like all the Dutch players and everything. They were like, "Why are they doing that song before us?" And it was like, and then we sang it against Man City. You know, I was saying before we were 3-0 down against City away the last game of the season. Well, at 3-0, we started singing that song, and for 20 minutes. It carried at 3-0. We were all jumping up and down, you know, having a party, singing that song, and we managed to score 2 goals while we were singing it. So, yeah, there you go. Copyrighted, by the way. You can't nick that off us.
We don't have no Dutch players to sing it for.
I know, yeah. If you sign one, you can't nick it off us.
Well,
on notice, Arsenal fans as well.
We got rid of our only Dutch player, Jackie Groningen, didn't we?
Oh, Jackie Groningen, yeah, of course, yeah. What a player she was, or is.
Oh, the system for us. I thought she was brilliant.
She was, wasn't she? Never scored though, did she? Is that right? She never scored for Man United.
Yeah, she never scored a single goal, and then she scored with it like 10 games.
Yeah, she scored straight away, didn't she? When she moved, typical that, isn't it?
It's always the way, because we was like, even when she was outside the box, we was there like, shoot, all the time, especially near to the end of a Man United career, we just wanted to just shoot from all different angles, all different ways, so she could get a goal.
But I remember, didn't she score an absolute worldie for Holland as well around that time, just before she left?
She did.
And it was an absolute like it was like left edge of the area, top left corner, absolutely slammed it in. And because that was when it first it came to my attention that she'd never scored for United, and I was like, what? Really?
And that's when we said, oh, maybe we should get our away kit or our third kit as orange, because she seems to do well in orange.
Yeah, she scores in orange, yeah.
I'll just shout out to the Birmingham Supporters Club for Shay. Go and check the Birmingham Supporters channel out. And hey there to Rajat. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. We'll wrap it up from here. I know it's gone on a bit longer than what we probably planned, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I've had a great time.
And if you want to come on again, you want to sing some karaoke with me, you're more than welcome to.
Listen, I'm always up for a bit of karaoke. Don't you worry about that. Maybe not after. If you beat us next season, you won't see me. But yeah, if we somehow manage to pull off a win against you finally, I'll come on definitely that night. Sing you a load of songs.
It's a deal. I'd love to have you back on again. And speaking of that, would you like to shout out your socials as well and your YouTube channel?
Yeah, so I host, I'll co-host with my friend Sarah Halpin the Blue Room EWFC podcast. So if you have a look at the Blue Room EFC, that's our main Twitter one. That's where all of the podcasts go from. So they cover like the men's games, the women's side as well, and we have a load of content up there. Obviously, check out the official Everton Women's Supporters Club Twitter account and Instagram as well. We also have a merchandise page if you fancy buying some beer mats or some songbooks. We've got songbooks, you see. It's great. Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. And obviously, yeah, enjoy the World Cup. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Hopefully, you'll find that Russo replacement soon as well.
I really hope so. And best of luck for yourself coming into next season. I hope you do very, very well. And looking forward to see how your manager Brian develops the team even more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, can't wait. Really can't wait. I wish you luck as well, apart from when you play against us.
Oh yeah. Likewise. Best of luck for Everton. Hope Liverpool get battered again twice. So thank you very, very much, Peter. I've really enjoyed the show. Go and check out Peter's channel. I'll put the link in the chat again. It's also in the description. So go and check that out. Have a lovely night all. Take care. Bye bye.